At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Steven, got a video idea for you, just leaving the Union game after shooting in the pouring rain. We should order one of those sprinklers that, you know, the kids used to run through, and then we should set up me and all my rain gear for the camera and for my shirt or my jackets or whatever, and then turn it on and film a video about how to shoot in the rain and the proper gear you should have. That's a good idea. I got it. I can't find one of those sprinklers like the old ones that do the arc thing, but when I was looking up sprinklers, there's one that's a blow-up rainbow that has holes in it that's like a sprinkler that kids run through like a car wash. So I was thinking, I get that. We inflate that on the corner in the garden area, and people are going to think we're nuts. But I think it's going to be funny because, it's a rainbow. And you know what they say about rainbows these days. It's a rainbow. Oh, and when we're done, we can give it the little dance. Bye.
You know, Steven, someone almost effed around and found out last night.
Uh-oh.
Do you know what that even means?
Yes.
What's it mean?
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, but what did they fuck around and find out about?
Tell me, I don't know.
Well, I come home from bowling and, I'm on my scooter. Oh, no, actually, Dan, who doesn't listen to the show, gave me a ride because it rained last night and I had my scooter. He's like, would you like a ride home? I was like, sure, I'd like a ride home. Can I get a ride home? So he gave me a ride home. But I get home and some Land Rover is parked like halfway in my box.
Ooh.
Right? And I look at the cameras and they were parked there since like 5:30 in the evening, and now we're at 9:30. So it's like they left their car there, and if I was driving, I wouldn't have been able to safely get into my garage.
Well, so they actually parked in front of your garage in the box is what you're saying.
Well, not fully. There was maybe like 4 feet of not in box. And but
clearly you couldn't make that turn to get into your own garage.
I could never make that turn, backing in, because there'd be no way. Like, I could cut it enough and not fuck up my car.
Well, for those that don't know, too, Jared's garage, it's literally like a small street, and it's a 90-degree turn that you have to make to get into your garage.
I have to make a pretty good turn on the street, and there's cars parked on the left side of the street, cars parked on the right side of the street, and depending on how people park, it's fine. If people are basically right up against the box, I could still do it because it's a pretty wide garage, right?
Sure.
It's an industrial door. It's massive. And I did put the no parking sign back up. I had a new door put in, and I did get the new decal that says no parking. Now, I didn't get the second part of it up, which says violators will be towed by South Philly Towing. The reason we chose South Philly is
find out.
Well, it says fuck around and find out in the bottom corner.
Oh, does it? Nice.
Yeah, it does. That was Troy. My friend Troy did that for his garage, so I did the same. I just didn't put that part up yet. I put up the other part, but clearly it's no parking. There's a box. I don't need a sign that says no parking for them not to park there. So
it's a given.
I checked the camera, and it was this woman who tries to park behind the box, which only had 4 feet or 2 feet, then goes around the corner, then comes back. I have a cone that I put in front, right? Not in the box, but in front, being like, don't even try to park here. She picks up the cone, gets out of her car, picks up the cone, throws it to the side, and then parks there. So, I call it in because I'm like, you know what? If I need to go, if I need to come, if they don't leave in the morning, I'm screwed. So I call it in. I don't know what time the police finally showed up because the police have to give the tickets, which is frustrating because they don't give a shit.
Wait, not the PPA?
No, it's not. PPA doesn't do this. Plus, our street isn't PPA. For those who don't know, PPA is the Philly Parking Authority. They're a bullshit company that's hired by Philadelphia to go around and enforce shitty laws on parking. And
that's why I would assume they would be in charge of that, right?
Nope, they don't. They don't.
I know
anyway,
it just doesn't make sense, but okay.
I woke up. I did put a sign on the car, and they left. When I woke up, there was a ticket there, and the people hadn't left yet. But then right as I was getting up, I looked, and the car was gone. So I checked the camera. Now we had a guy get in the car, so it was a different person. So someone parked the car, moved the car, put the car there, and then they came and took it. They didn't read the note I left on the car, and they didn't take they didn't see that there was a ticket on the car either. So either that blows away and they will get fined at some point for having a ticket or what. But I was going to have it towed if I needed to have it towed.
What did you put in the note? F around and find out?
No, I
was
like,
you found out.
I was like, you clearly knew what you were doing when you moved the cone to put your car here inside the box so I can't return. If it's still here at 7 a.m, it's getting towed, and that was it. And so right around 7:30 is when I was going to call.
Such a dramatic note.
Well, no, I don't. Sometimes I put my name and number on it so that they can call me if they have a problem. But it's like, look, it's a box. Why do you think that it's okay for you in your Land Rover to leave it here, or for anybody to leave their car in a box? There's a box. You don't park in the goddamn box.
Yeah.
This has to do with
That's
photography.
why you just got to live in Jersey, man, and have your own garage and not have a problem with people parking in front of it. It's great.
Not really. This is why in Philly, I got my own parking space. 9 times out of 10, knock on wood, it's been pretty good.
How much did you pay for that parking space?
A lot. And guess what? The value has gone up since I bought that damn parking, the building, Steven.
Of course.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
What are you trying to say?
New Jersey's great, that's all.
No, it's not. Jersey is not great. Jersey is like the
to have
ugliest.
like nearly an acre of property and 2-car
Steven,
garage.
do you want to get into that game? Do you want me to sell all my properties and go buy like 20 acres? Do you want me to do that?
You could buy a mansion on like a 100-acre farm here for what you paid for your place.
Not really, dude. In the middle of nowhere, New Jersey.
Even
but not
around
North
here.
Jersey, not South Jersey.
Townhouses in Philly are going for basically what I bought this place for, and this is double or triple the square footage.
Yeah, and you're fucking in Jersey.
What does that mean?
It's one of the ugliest drives in the history of driving.
Okay.
It's like,
so Philly and Kensington aren't any better.
Dude, we got beautiful scenery here in Kensington.
I know, man. The needles everywhere. It's great. Zombies galore.
You got people that ring your ring doorbell at what time?
And they look like a ghost at 12:30 at night.
Is that what they were wearing? They were wearing a
literally
sheet?
a white sheet. Rang the doorbell, clearly on drugs of some sort.
But did it make a point at the top and have 2 eye holes cut out?
No, thankfully not that kind of white cloak.
It wasn't that kind of white hood?
No.
All right, let's get into the photo side. So we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about the 100 to 300 2.8 from Canon. We're going to talk about some Nikon Z8 rumors as there's a countdown clock now going.
Are you ready?
As well as are you ready is what it says, with an 8 hidden at the bottom. And then there's some specs that Nikon Rumors is reporting as being rumored specs. Let's talk more about the Pentax thing and, the Paris headshot video we want to talk about. Yes. And that's really where we're going to go with this episode. But my voicemails talked about buying a rainbow inflatable water feature.
Yeah.
It came in the mail yesterday.
Hey, where are we going to do that video at?
Well,
we need some land for that video.
We'll either do it in my garden area, which has a good abundance of land in the city, or we'll do it at your house because you have a sprinkler system.
I do.
So the reason I'm talking about this and wanting to make this video, which won't do well at all, is that I shot the Philadelphia Union game the other day with the Canon, the R3 and the 100 to 300 2.8. And normally, I don't know about wanting to shoot in the rain or in inclement weather, but geez, it was going to be downpour. But the good news is I have complete coverage from head to toe and camera for shooting in the rain. I have a Patagonia jacket, which was sent to me by someone who reps Patagonia. That's like a $400 raincoat, which is really amazing. Yeah,
I don't expect anything less, man.
And the Patagonia rain pants, much better than what Dan tried to give me that one time. Yeah. I don't know how much the pants are. I didn't look them up. And the Think Tank Hydrophobia 3.0, which is designed for anywhere from a 300 to a 600 lens. So I guess it worked with this one because it's a 100 to 300, and that's like a $300 item. And the best item was my visor. I wore the visor we used in the Nikon D500 real world review where we did it at the golf course.
Outing, yeah.
I wore that because I knew that the hood, water drips off of it and then it ends up in my face and the hood just doesn't sit right.
Man,
so when I put on the visor,
so smart.
Shut up. When I put the visor on, the hood sat at the top of the visor and the visor got wet and my face stayed dry.
You talk about this stuff like it's not common sense.
You know what, Steven? Sometimes you just have to
discover
discover
hat
shit.
And the water didn't get in my way. It's crazy how that works.
No, but you never tried on this hood. This hood always fell in your face. Now the hood doesn't fall in my face because I've got the visor to hold it up.
Yeah.
And it was awesome shooting in the rain. I thought it was fantastic.
So you actually did have, with the hydrophobia, the entire lens covered, right? Because it is fully weather sealed, but I still wouldn't trust it when it's freaking monsooning out like that.
Oh, Yeah, it was the lens is fully covered and it's fully wrapped. The only thing is the eyepiece. I did buy an eyepiece for the R3 for the Think Tank, but I didn't take it with me because I already tore out during the World Series last year because there was no eyepiece for
ripped it out.
I had to cut out the rubber gasket thing
and
then just pull that around the viewfinder, so the EVF rubber piece, and it worked fine. It stayed there the whole game.
Yeah.
It also didn't get rain in it, but I would like to switch out the piece. I do have it somewhere to do it. But so what's great about the hydrophobia, the 3.0 version or whatever, they all had the same thing, but I can put my hand in the right hand side for putting it onto the camera. I can put my hand on through the left hand side for working the zoom, and my hands stay warm, my hands stay dry. They just stay inside this raincoat the whole time.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I've always had those super shitty plastic bags that you throw on, like $5 and you throw it in the bag just as a just in case last resort option. They work fine, but obviously the hydrophobia is an excellent option, fully weather sealed. You can have both your hands in there and everything. It's great.
Yeah, because you can't have both your hands in the plastic one because it doesn't have it on the left-hand side.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to put it like up and underneath. Yeah, it's a last resort thing, and I think
it's basically like putting a trash bag on your on your lens,
which some people resort to doing.
A last resort
in those
fine,
situations, but that makes it very difficult to shoot. Think Tank does offer you some. They have some options where they have the emergency rain covers. They work because they go into your like hot shoe and then cover the whole camera and you can still shoot, but they're not perfect.
Exactly.
But it's an emergency rain cover. The hydrophobia is the real deal. If you own expensive glass and you're going to shoot in the rain for sports or snow or weather, you definitely invest in something like this.
Anyone else have a hydrophobia when they were shooting, or were there not really any other photographers because it was pouring?
Oh, there were plenty of photographers. Yeah, I still have the news shooters and everything. Some of them had hydrophobias and some of them didn't have, they had the plastic ones that you're talking about.
Did any of them have nothing at all and just fully rely on the weather sealing?
There is one person who has like a 400 2.8 Canon. He did have a trash bag on his camera. Mm-hmm. And when I saw him walk in, I was like, hey, man, I'm like, Think Tank hydrophobia. Go look it up. I'm like, you have a $14,000 lens. You don't put a trash bag on it. You can go get a hydrophobia. So maybe he didn't know about it. So I was just making him aware that he could go get that.
Sure, yeah.
So anyway, I was shooting with the 100 to 300. It came in the mail on Saturday at 11:22 a.m. FedEx dropped it off for Saturday delivery, and I went. And by 12:50, I was photographing my nephew playing baseball. 20 minutes later, I was back in the car because I had to get to the Phillies game, which started at 3:05. I got there at 2:05 roughly and shot the Phillies game and then shot the Philadelphia Union in the rain at night.
That's awesome.
So we have a review. We just recorded it yesterday.
You were texting me Sunday like, hey, we're ready to film the review. I'm like, already? You've only had it for not even 24 hours. But good on you for getting it done and, out into the world because no one else has that lens really right now. I think there's only, 2 in the U.S.?
Canon they said something along those lines. I think ours was number 21 on the bottom of the lens. It said 21.
Yeah.
Which means, they still ship them to other countries in the world for their PR people. So who knows? But I did shoot enough, right? I shot enough now. I didn't shoot softball, which would be something good to shoot with, but I shot my nephew, so sports like that. I shot the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a good enough thing to shoot. And I shot soccer. And then I took it out on Sunday to photograph my friends playing pickleball when I wasn't playing pickleball, just to take some extra pictures.
Which I think, we were saying in the review when it does come out that it's kind of meant more for like a court sport. I think baseball, it's not long enough really, but
it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
No, because in baseball, in certain situations, the 300 is perfect for the pitcher, for inside home plate, for getting plays at the plate, for guys rounding. It's a little short from from the first base side in Philly to get the right-handed batter because it doesn't fill the frame enough. But for the sports shooters, that crop the shit out of everything, it's going to be good. They'll crop it and they'll be perfectly fine. But after the player hits the ball and starts running, and then I can track them and pull the zoom back, that's something you don't get with a 400 or a fixed 300.
It's super versatile, but it's still not the end-all, be-all mega zoom sports lens. We do think if it had a built-in TC like a 1.4 or something to give you that 400 millimeter range, then it really would probably be the end-all, be-all like sports shooting lens.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing about the lens is that why didn't they build in a TC?
Yeah.
Now, I know that probably adds to production time. It adds to production cost.
Yeah.
It adds to weight. Now, the weight isn't an issue. It's 5.9 pounds, and you can handhold it. I don't recommend that you handhold it for long, and it is just much easier to shoot on a monopod, but you are capable of handholding it. But 100 to 300 2.8 is great. You know, new shooters could get away with having a 24 to 105 or a 24 2.8. You know, 24 to 70 2.8, and then a 100 to 300, and they can cover the entire range.
Maybe throw a TC just in case, but yeah, you're set.
Just in case, but it's a pain in the ass to put the teleconverter on and take it off.
You're gonna lose a shot. Yeah, you're gonna miss it.
Yeah, and that's why if it had it built in, you get a 160 to 420.
140 to 420.
Sorry, 140 to 420. Yeah,
so with a 1.4x. With a 2x, it's 200 to 600.
And that becomes a 5.6 from 200 to 600, and a
F4.
An F4 with the other one.
With Nikon, I mean, they're doing that with all of their, you know, telephoto lenses, like the 400 and the 600 F4. 800, I don't think that has a TC because that's just already insanely long.
No, that's an 800 6.3.
Yeah,
but
the
I was
other
just
ones have the TCs built in, and I hope Canon follows suit.
Well, they did it with the 200 to 400. Nikon did it with the 180 to 400. And I was just going to say, I'm like, I don't know if it makes sense to do it in a zoom because maybe it doesn't work as well, but they've already done it. And so I think that would have made it incredible. The only difference is, though, from 300 to 420 is where it makes sense, because if you're using a 1.4 converter and you're at 220 millimeters, it kind of defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Of losing that stop, not just because of light, but because of the depth and the quality.
It's only for the long end, yeah.
But still, being able to pop that in and have that 420 would be pretty darn amazing.
Nikon's 120 to 300, the F-mount version, that doesn't have a TC, right?
No.
Okay, and that's 1.5 pounds heavier, I think?
That's 7.1 or so pounds.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a heavy lens.
Yeah.
It is heavy. It's gorgeous.
It is.
But it came
it's a
out,
great lens.
And the problem with it is it came out in a time when mirrorless cameras were prevalent.
Yep.
The Z6 and Z7 were already out in the world, and here you are releasing an F-mount lens 10 years too late.
Which, hey, we did throw an F to Z adapter on it and tried it out in the Z9, and it was fine. It worked fine, but I'm sure it would be even better if it was actually made for the Z mount.
Yeah, it would have been a hell of a lot lighter and a lot better. But the images are fine. I mean, I just love the color that I'm able to pop off of these, especially during a day game. When
Skittles.
Modified Skittles. When you're doing a day game, and because it was a 305, and so you had some extra light, when you're shooting those games and you're at a lower ISO.
Are you at base ISO on that, or
no,
like 400?
I'm not at base. I'm probably at anywhere from 250 to 400, depending on if I have a converter on or not.
Because what shutter speed are you usually hovering around? Like
1/4000.
4,000. Okay.
Yeah, 132. Yeah, about 1/4000. So whatever I get for 1/4000 at 2.8 is where I'll be. Do you want me to look right meow? I can kind of look.
Yeah, if you want.
I got my Lightroom open here.
But that's the beauty about shooting, closer to base ISO is your colors are going to pop like crazy. The higher ISO, like your soccer shots, I'm sure from that night when it was raining, you were probably at 5,000 ISO, and I'm sure they don't look nearly as vibrant as the daytime ones. I mean,
I kept those at 5,000. I was at 13200th, 2.8, 5,000 ISO for shooting the Philadelphia Union. I could have gone to 6,400. I just didn't want to. The camera can fully handle it, but I'm like, look, I can correct for most of this after the fact. But with the baseball, I have that right here, 1/4000th, 2.8, 200 ISO.
There you go.
In one position. In the other position, I was at 500 ISO to give me, but also the sun kept coming in and out. It was peaking. The clouds kept moving. So even during one batter, even during one pitch, the light would go from one thing to the other.
Are you riding your ISO or shutter speed when that happens?
I'll ride my shutter speed first and foremost on that.
Okay.
Usually because it's just quicker. But with the R3, I can ride the ISO too.
Because that could be almost like a two-stop difference if a cloud's coming through,
It could be. And it happened quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm shooting there. And I think it was fantastic. I think it was better than I expected for baseball, because after looking at the images, I'm like, well, the shortstop isn't that far away. I think it's fine. And if the shortstop is jumping or diving or going up for a ball, you may not lose it where you might lose it with a 400 or a 600. That's a possibility. So from a cropper's standpoint, they could get away with it all day, even with the R3 with the 24 megapixels. But for soccer, I thought it was great because soccer's all over the place. Sometimes a 400 is great for getting those midfield plays, the head balls and everything. But when they pass a through ball or they're coming down the sideline, well, once you lose them, you lose them. But in this case, I could follow a guy. As a pass is made, I could start to zoom out or zoom in, zoom out to 100 or 120 or 200 and follow the player all the way through and then turn to the front of the net and go wider to get action.
Wow.
Without having to switch. And so That was great for soccer. It's going to be great for tennis. It's going to be great for basketball. Basketball shooters are going to have like a 24-70 for under the basket and then a 100-300 for shooting basketball. So it worked out really well. Tony Northrup, breaking news. This comes exactly while we're recording this podcast.
Oh, man.
Steven, do you want to fill in the viewers what's going on rumor websites right now?
Well, so I was browsing the YouTubes and I saw SonyAlphaRumors posted a 1-minute video saying the price of the Z8 has leaked, the official pricing from a Chinese website, and the screenshot they used is the screenshot I made up for the April Fool's video that we put out on April 1st. So it's basically a screenshot from that video circulating saying that this is the price of the Z8 when it's clearly fake. Even the specs in the screenshot are not the ones that have been leaked or rumored, whatever it may be.
It's all over the place. It's kind of funny because you sent this to me and I'm like, I almost wanted to comment on the SonyAlphaRumors and be like, guys, are you guys that fucking dumb that you think that this is real? One, like, it's taken from, they say Chinese website, so I guess we're a Chinese website now. But it's a fake Allen's Camera website posting that Steven made for April Fool's Fix with the specs that we put in the April Fool's Fix, which if you look at the specs that I made up for that and you look at what the rumored specs are, which we're going to go into in just a minute, they don't match up.
No.
So
and even the supposed leaked picture of the Z8 does not match up with the one we used in that fake rendering.
Exactly. So it's funny that SonyAlphaRumors posts bullshit, which they did, and then of course Nikon Rumors has to pick it up and says, I don't think this is real, but it blah 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 blah. And I'm not gonna. I was like, should I just email these people and be like, hey guys, I think you are dumbasses, or let's just call them dumbasses right here, because I'm not going to send them and I'm not going to comment. But if you guys feel free to go comment on these and be like, yeah, I don't think that's true.
Well, the irony is that, we've talked shit on SonyAlphaRumors for how many years now at this point that they stopped posting all of our content. And I think he just doesn't watch our content at all. Now, because he doesn't watch our content, he probably had no idea that this came from a Frono's Photo April Fool's video.
Yep. So
and he hates posting our stuff. And the irony is that this is our stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I love it.
Maybe someone, one of you guys, or maybe the commenters will look and be like, that's not making sense because the price is $35.99.95.
Somebody will figure it out.
Right.
Especially again, because I put fake specs in there. It says it has a 61 megapixel sensor. I think the touchscreen specs I put in there were not correct either based on the rumored specs.
Yeah. So we'll get to the pricing that they're saying in just a minute, because I still want to, this was just breaking news. While we're recording, this stuff happened, so it's kind of funny to talk about it. And we'll get to the rumored spec leaks in just a second, but they are dumbasses.
Again, it's only funny because it's SonyAlphaRumors that posted it, our arch nemesis.
Well, it just shows you how stuff spreads.
Yeah.
On the internet.
It spreads like wildfire. It's all fluff, it's all literally, I can confirm that this is not real because I made it up.
Right. But the funny thing is, my buddy Ryan Holiday, who's a writer, right? New York Times writer. Mm-hmm. He used to work for American Apparel in his early 20s when American Apparel was big, right? Remember when American Apparel was the biggest thing and like they were making a ton of money and making a lot of waves in social media, in media, because what would happen? They used Sasha Grey, the porn star, naked in some of their ads.
She was on Entourage, right?
She was. She's also a photographer.
That's how
by
I
the
know
way.
her, not from the other stuff.
She's also into photography. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know.
She is. She's into photography. I've never
photography that includes naked people doing things?
Just like actual photography.
Stills photography. I thought you meant motion picture photography.
No, still. Did you know Leonard Nimoy was a photographer too?
No.
From Spock, Live Long and Prosper. His book is Nude Oversized Women.
Oh, interesting.
I own it. I bought it. Not because I like nude, oversized women. It's because I collect different photo books. I have different photo books that go on my shelf because I like seeing what other photographers do, whether I like their work or not. Mm-hmm. So anyway, back to the American Apparel thing. Ryan Holiday had one of his first books was Trust Me, I'm Lying. And it talks about in like 2006 or 2007, 2008, he would make up some story from some email address, send it to like a low-level blog at the time, and then that blogger would do something with that story, and then he would watch it trickle up until it ended up on CNN or major news websites, because it would start to get picked up, and then people would talk about it, and then it would spread, and then it became like this whole thing, and he could manipulate the market, not the market manipulating for sales, but he could manipulate the entire industry.
It's fake news,
by
man.
Just putting out, by putting something false out into the world, he was able to get it traction.
The thing is, there's never any research to confirm if it's true or not these days. Everything is instant. It has to be put out right away without confirming that it's a real thing or whatever.
So I was at dinner the other night, and my buddy Troy was like, "Did you hear that Joe Biden is going to be raising fees on people who buy properties? If you have a higher credit score, you're going to pay more." And I'm like, "What are you basing this off of?" He's like, I read about it. I saw some YouTube videos about it. So I went and put Joe Biden mortgage tax hike, and the first thing that came up was Fox News as a website. And then I kept scrolling down, and there wasn't one reputable news source. And all that was coming up were these YouTube videos of just random people talking about this supposed thing, right? And I'm not bringing this up to get political. I'm bringing it up because it shows you how this stuff spreads. So what did I just called him like, dude, I'm like, Troy, this can't be valid, because no reputable website or web source is coming up at all anywhere in any search. So I called my person who has written bills in the government and said, "Do you know anything about this? We're trying to verify it." He calls me back, and I'll make this quick. He's like, "It's a complicated situation." And no, what they're saying is not correct. Like, Joe Biden has nothing to do with this. It's the FHA, which is a governmental organization, just like you have Homeland Security, right? Homeland Security's job is to protect the nation. At least that's what they said. And that doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat, a Republican, an independent president. It doesn't matter. It's a governmental thing. And so the same thing with the FHA. Basically, what he's saying is some rates are changing. They're reevaluating rates, and in some cases, a rate may go up 0.2%, which means every $100,000 you spend, it's $200 extra, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just basically, he's like, the long story short is that it's complicated, and some of the fees have been changed, but there were already fees in these situations. And someone who has a low credit score, who's not putting down a lot of money on a house, is going to pay a higher fee because the government has to back those loans. Anyway, I went off on a little diatribe there, but that was
That's
just
weird.
No, but it just shows you how stuff can spread.
How did we get here again?
Sasha Grey.
Oh, okay.
My buddy Ryan Holiday and fake news. We got here because you brought up this breaking news from Nikon
I feel
Rumors.
like you never finish your story, though. It's just like one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, and then all of a sudden we're talking about Joe Biden and the FHA and all this stuff.
Well, you want to talk about Bud Light?
Sure.
You want to talk about Bud Light, Steven?
Now, how did that pop up?
Well, because it's controversy in the news.
Okay.
Remember, Bud Light is getting a whole lot of backlash because they had an influencer who is a trans female talk about drinking Bud Light to their following. Oh, did you see that I used their? I did. I used their there.
Good one.
So to use their to promote Bud Light to their following, and then all of a sudden the whole right-wing world is like, how dare you, Bud Light, pay for a transgendered person to promote a product to their followers? How dare you? One, if you're not into it, don't watch it, right? It's like with comedy. There's people that go to comedy shows and they laugh their ass off even if it's vulgar. And then what happens is a joke gets outside of that sphere, and someone who would have never paid to go see a comedy show like that ends up getting offended. You want to get back on topic now, Steven?
Yes, please.
I'll leave it anyway. I don't agree with Anheuser-Busch firing the people that went ahead and
you just said let's get back on topic.
Yeah, I just want to finish it.
Oh,
I just want to finish it. I don't agree that Anheuser-Busch or whoever owns Bud Light at this point went ahead and fired the people who approved the marketing campaign budget or whatever they did for, I guess the person's name is Dylan Mulvaney, a transgendered woman. to do this promotion. Why don't you just say fuck you, Kid Rock, and screw all you people who have, if you don't want to drink Bud Light, don't drink Bud Light. Don't kowtow to the people like that. And if you're not happy with something, just don't want, anyway, whatever. Anyway, I went off to the side there and whatever. I went off to the side. Pentax. A lot of people are still telling me that I'm so wrong, that there is a major need for a Pentax monochrome camera, and that I'm wrong because Pentax announced, or Ricoh announced, that they sold out of their initial allotment in Japan.
How much was their original allotment, though?
Stephen, we don't know these questions. We don't know these answers.
27 cameras sold out.
It could be 100 cameras for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the original allotment is. And in my photo news fix, I said, look, I don't give a shit what camera you shoot with.
Of course.
If you so choose to shoot with a monochrome Pentax, go for it.
I
if
will
that
say,
works
though,
for you.
I've literally never seen a Pentax out in the wild. I've never seen anybody photographing with a Pentax to this day. Never.
Oh, I've run into like one person.
Exactly.
One person. I think the Pentax colors were actually really good. I've seen some really nice colors come off of those
I can't say much
cameras.
about them because I've never actually used a Pentax. So I just know the reputation. That's about it.
But the whole thing about it, well, Jared, you're wrong because their initial allotment sold out in Japan. Well, that's like a news story being floated in the, that's like these rumors saying that the price of the Nikon Z8 that's being teased is $35.99.95. It's like, so Ricoh announces that they sold out. Okay, in Japan. You can still pre-order it in the United States. So maybe they allocated 100 to Japan, or even 500, so they sold 500 cameras. Whoop-de-doo, right? Who cares? And then again, at the end of the day, I don't care what you shoot. I'm only commenting from the standpoint of you're not going to find majority of professionals deciding to buy a Pentax crop sensor camera that only shoots in monochrome and calling it their camera.
I mean, hey, I'm sure these niche cameras sell, like the astrophotography type cameras that have the sensors specifically made for the astrophotography. But yeah, how many people are actually buying them?
Not many, Stephen.
Yeah. Not
many at all. So it's just nuts. Maybe they'll send us one and we can play with it.
Have we ever reviewed a Pentax camera?
No, because they've never come out with any Pentax cameras worthy of a review.
Yeah.
Like what would we want to review it for? What's the point? I mean, it's like, what's the point of reviewing Fuji? They're terrible.
Fighting
breaking
words.
news. Breaking news.
Now we did actually try to shoot with Fuji a few times, and then they just stopped sending us gear. So
yeah, and it worked well. And we did a positive review of the
XH1, the XT2.
Yeah, XH1. I
Bunch
remember
of their
using
glass,
that.
pretty much all their lenses.
Yeah, but you said one negative thing.
I think it was a 90 millimeter macro.
I said was slow focusing.
And Fuji basically pulled the plug, and they were like, nope, not sending you anything else anymore.
And the quote that came down that I was told by Fuji America was that Fuji Japan said no more for us.
That was the exact quote?
I don't know what the exact quote was, Stephen. Don't insert a South Park quote here and get us in trouble again. Why would you do that? Why would you bring that up? That guy who left us that negative review is going to be listening still, even though he doesn't like what we have to say, is still going to be listening and is still going to comment on it.
Yeah.
Hey, if you ever got offended, you could text us at 313-710-9729. You could text us. I do text people back.
There's been a ton of texts coming through lately, I feel like, and I just haven't been able to keep up. There's been a lot of questions coming through. I
answered some guy's question and didn't put a name on it. He goes, "Thanks, Steven." And I'm like, "What do you mean, thanks, Steven? This is Steven."
So usually I'll even write like from Steven, and then they'll say, "Thanks, Jared." Usually it's the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, I literally just said it's from me.
It's nuts. Anyway, I like to throw out the text line on occasion for you guys to do that. So let's talk about the Nikon stuff. Let's get into the rumors. These are rumored specs that Nikon Rumors says are real.
Well, we know the pricing now.
Well, we do know the pricing based off of the leak from China.
Yes. $35.99.95.
So let's go down this list of leaked rumored specs. Let me specify once again, like I did in Photo News Fix, these are rumored specs. Actually, before that, Nikon decided to put out a teaser video with a countdown clock, and they hit a number 8 in the "Are You Ready?"
Actually, it was after that. It was right after the supposed specs leaked.
What, that Nikon put out a teaser video?
Yeah.
we don't know what they're going to do with this for the next 2 weeks, but I can only assume they're going to just slow roll out feature after feature like they did with the Z9. And by the time it gets announced, people are going to be like, whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-freak. Anyway, you want to go down the top level specs, or you want me to read the specs that they're rumoring? I
can go off the Nikon Rumors website. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, go ahead and read.
Let's see. Nikon sensor, 45.7 megapixel stacked sensor, which I assume would be from the Z9 because it's also a 45.7 megapixel stacked sensor, right?
That's what they're rumoring.
ISO range of 64 to 25,600.
Steven, 1 second. Which would make my guess of what the camera is going to be. If this is right, that makes my guess wrong.
Well, I think we assumed it was going to be more like an A7R5, like a high megapixel, 60-ish megapixel sensor, right?
It would make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense because they could buy the Sony sensor.
The D800 series was always meant to be the high megapixel, kind of landscape portrait camera.
Exactly.
And now this is looking like a mini Z9 based on these specs. 20 frames per second, 120 frames per second in JPEG mode. Again, same as the Z9. 5-axis IBIS, 6 stops of correction. Max shutter speed of 1/32,000th of a second all the way down to 900 seconds. Electronic shutter only, so no mechanical shutter in this. 493 AF points. 10-bit HEIF support, or HEIF, whatever you want to say, which I don't know if anyone actually really uses this
no
just
one
yet.
gives a shit.
I think in the future, this will be the new JPEG. I just think it's not there yet because you still need like an HDR display and stuff like that.
I don't think it's going to happen.
8.3K video up to 60 frames per second. I don't know if that's internal or external or what, but the Z9 also has 8.3K at 60 frames per second. 3.2-inch tilting LCD screen. Now, the Z9 has that 4-axis tilting screen, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this is going to have it because it simply just says tilting LCD screen. EVF is the same as the Z9, which is 3.69 million dots. The memory cards, they're saying it has 2 separate slots, a CF Express plus SD. I don't know if that means CF Express Type A or B. It just says CF Express. I would assume B based on what they gave the Z9 and what other Nikon cameras have. Dust and drip resistant, same as the Nikon D850, they say. And they're saying the price is €45.99, which, if I had to guess, it's going to be like $4,200 US because you take away the VAT and all that 20% tax.
Well, they're saying that's equivalent to around $5,000.
But I don't think they're realizing the VAT 20% tax.
No, not even realizing. They're just dumbasses because we know that anytime something is priced in euros, that it's either the same exact price here in dollars or something else.
Or it's less. Like the R8 was much more expensive in Europe versus here.
Yeah, so it's just these guys are freaking dumbasses sometimes when it comes to this. I mean, they also put out a picture of a supposed leak of what the camera might look like,
which is literally a Z9 with the grip chopped off, really.
Pretty much.
From what I'm seeing, yeah.
And so these rumors are interesting. Now, if it has the same Z9 sensor, the same Z9 autofocus points, the same Z9 everything, that is a pretty insane offering. Now, my big question will be, what did they add, being that the Z9 is already, almost 2 years old, which means it's been in the works for a while.
It's about a year and a half right now, yeah.
It's still a year and a half, but what technology have they added to advance? Because usually we see it with Sony. Like Sony with the A7R5 added a new AI processor, and other cameras that they come out with sometimes, like even the Z8, right? The Z8 has things that the R3 doesn't have, and it's just like.
And then with Canon, usually it will trickle back up via firmware update or something like that, but they do tend to at least introduce some new feature, whether it be something tiny in a software update or something that's actually major, like a digital hot shoe or something like the R6 Mark II got.
I mean, it would be pretty insane that if it is priced. Well, I mean, I don't think they're right. I also don't think the rumor that you made up of $36 or $35.99 is right.
So right now the R5 it's $38.99 MSRP, but it's $200 off, so it's $36.99. I think it's actually selling for currently. I would assume this is going after the R5 and the A7R5, so $4,000 makes sense. Around that price.
But if it has the same specs as a Z9, like how are they dropping, like a Z9 is $5,500? Like, that's why I don't think that it's going to be $5,000, because if
there's no way.
a Z9 is $5,500. What would be the point for $500 more? Then you got to put a grip on it. Then it's the same camera at that point. The rumored prices just don't make any sense. I think it's going to come in more than what the R5 is. How much is an A7 R5?
So it's the same MSRP as the R5, which is $38.99.
Okay, because what will be interesting is if we were to do a comparison between these three cameras based off of these rumored specs and this, obviously the cameras that are already announced. I mean, this thing might blow those cameras out of the water spec-wise.
For sure. I mean, if
for shooting
they're
and
literally
video.
giving it everything their flagship has. I mean, the only difference I see here, based on these supposed specs, are the 10-bit HEIF support, which no one really cares about, and the different memory card slots. I mean, the Z9 has dual CF Express B, but besides that, this is literally a Z9. Now, back to the conversation of will they incorporate anything new or introduce anything new into this camera? Like, will it have a digital hot shoe, which makes total sense? It should. I think Nikon's the only brand now that has yet to incorporate a digital hot shoe into their flagship bodies.
Yeah, I mean, they're interesting rumors. They really are. If Nikon is able to pull this off with basically a mini Z9, that's huge. Both good, and I see it as both bad. Because in one way, it's good because it gives you the flagship quality in a less expensive body. It's bad because anybody that bought a Z9 is gonna be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah,
I could save
$1,500.
Yeah. I mean, I still like an integrated body myself. I'm a big fan of that. Versus having to add a grip because it just never feels the same and it never feels as good.
So let's say the grip, what do they usually cost? $400 or $500, give or take.
Yeah.
Especially for like a bigger grip. So let's say you bought this camera and it comes in at matching the A7R5 and the R5, which would be $38.99 or $4,000, give or take. That's what, $4,500 at that point, $4,400. I mean, you're only $1,000 off from the Z9. You're not really that far off at that point.
Well, and then you have to get extra batteries because you want to put two batteries in the thing. Sure. So it's another $70, $80
and that's the
battery.
Other difference. Obviously, I don't think this is going to take the Z9 battery based on the supposed leaked graphic they're showing.
No, probably not.
Unless they do what they did with the D850, where they gave it the grip option of having the standard battery versus the flagship D5 battery. Now, that would be pretty interesting if they gave that option where you can almost make it a Z9 at that point.
Yes, but then you have to spend like $350 for a charger and another $120 for a battery.
Those grips were much more expensive. And will the frame rate, be higher? Because I know with the D850 you got like 11 frames per second versus 9 because you had the extra power.
That was pretty cool.
But I guess this is the opposite. This is taking away power when you're using a regular standard, Nikon battery.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll know more in 13 days and counting because the tick down clock is ticking to May what? May 8th?
May 10th.
May 10th?
And it's got to be a Z8. I mean, clearly they showed that little Easter egg 8 in the Are You Ready teaser. So what else would it be at this point?
I think it's a pretty safe assessment to guess that it's going to be a Z8 at this point.
And again, back to the whole conversation of not adding new features. Like, why not even update like the resolution of the screen or update the EVF resolution, something like that? Just basic incremental update that you would expect from a new body, right?
Well, I want to see updates to obviously autofocus.
Of course.
Because if it's a Z9 autofocus, we already know what that is.
They didn't list the processor. Are we looking at an Xpeed 8 or a 7 Plus or what, or dual Xpeed 7? I don't know. Because that would be much different. But why would they make this better than the Z9? That would make sense.
Could you imagine this getting better autofocus than the flagship Z9? Because the Z9's not getting replaced for another bunch of years,
and it's already
no way
on firmware 3.0 at this point. It's gotten tons of firmware updates.
Yes, we all know that firmware makes the hardware better because it really doesn't, especially on Nikon.
Again, we specifically talked to the Nikon engineers, and they're like, "No, it's the firmware really can't add anything. It's a hardware thing."
Yeah. So anyway, these are the rumored specs. We have a couple weeks to wait and to see what they do announce when they do announce it, and if these are true or not. So
it's funny because I don't want to make it sound like I'm disappointed with these specs, but there's nothing like mind-blowing to me because I've already seen these specs in the Z9. Again, I'm just surprised there's nothing that's like, whoa, that's a new feature or an unexpected feature that was added to this camera. I think it's going to be hard for them to market this camera to someone that's not a current Nikon user because they've already done it. They've already introduced all of these specs in their flagship model. Now, having said that, that's incredible. If I'm a Nikon user waiting to upgrade to, a Z8, waiting for that legendary D850 type camera for the Z mount, this is it. I mean, you have everything. This is going to blow away the R5 and the A7R5. Again, we don't know processor and focusing and all that, but based on these specs, it's pretty stacked. No pun intended.
Oh, I see what you did there. So we'll wait and see. But if you guys have some thoughts, you could tell us at 313-710-9729. You could always text us and let us know what you think about these rumored specs. I'd be curious to see if anybody who's listening will go to Nikon Rumors or SonyAlphaRumors and be like, "Heh, dumbasses," or point it out, or just leave it that they've been had by someone.
As of right now, it's still, both posts are still up, so we'll see.
They're going to stay up.
And we're recording this podcast Thursday morning, so they'll have another 24 hours or so until this podcast gets released.
True. All right, let's move on to something we did. We put out a Paris headshot video, right?
Yes.
I've said it a million times that if you're in Paris at the Eiffel Tower, but you can't tell that you're in Paris at Eiffel Tower because you took a super tight headshot, then what was the point of being in Paris at the Eiffel Tower to take that headshot? You could have done it in your basement. Well, I finally did that video because I was in Paris, as you guys know, and took that photo. And Steve, I actually made a longer video, like a 30-minute video going over my
every photo you took,
images.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, my favorite images from Paris, and it was part of that. And then I was like, why don't we do a standalone?
You were like that?
Yeah, didn't I say that?
I'm pretty sure I suggested that.
Well, the whole point was to do a standalone video anyway, and mine just ended up being longer.
I didn't see this video at all. I saw it when Dan finished editing it. I assumed it was maybe a 5-10 minute video, really just breaking down and talking about that headshot type photo. If you're in front of the Eiffel Tower, you want to show the Eiffel Tower, not just have a very tight headshot. And then when I saw the final runtime, I'm like, 30 minutes. That's going to be a little hard sell for the everyday person to stop and watch on YouTube. And I think we kind of went back and forth, and we're like, you know what? Let's just make a whole new video and get right to the point, make it like a quick tip style video from back in the day. And that's exactly what happened. We made it into like a 5-minute video, and it was great. It checked all the boxes. It had a great title, great thumbnail. It was only 5 minutes long. I expected it to get a ton of views, and it did the opposite. Well,
it's the title is the #1 portrait photography mistake. I mean, I thought that was a good title.
Even someone that's, super into portrait photography and they think they know everything about it, I still enjoy watching videos like that where it's like the #1 thing you don't know about this or X, and especially if it's a quick 3, 4, 5 minute video, I'll stop right there and watch it. And even if it doesn't really deliver, I don't really care because it only took up 3, 4, 5 minutes of my time. So I really thought we had a great title, and it really did flop.
Yeah, which is disappointing because portrait photography should be something that rates pretty high. So I love it. It's like, because I go on YouTube and I type in portrait photography, and what comes up are 5 tips to instantly improve your portraits from 4 months ago, 265,000 views. One from 3 months ago is I shot 100,000 portraits. Here's what I learned. It's a lot of that. I do suspect that ours does come up now, Stephen.
Are you in an incognito tab too?
I'm in incognito. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's the 9th video. So that was the point, is that I suspect, and this is why I didn't get upset for once, that this video we'll look back in a year and it might have 200,000 views on it.
I was watching the first 30 minutes of it, and it said 9 out of 10, and then
it was a 10 out of. Well, it said 9 out of 10 because the 10 out of 10 was the video we put up about the Insta360 Flow.
That's it, yeah.
Which didn't do well, but will continue to do well.
It had 30% fewer viewers or something on this video, and I'm like, oh, Jared's going to change the title. We're going to probably change the thumbnail, play that game, and you actually let it be. You're like, you know what? Let's let it ride and look back in a year and see, did it hit the search results? Because it might have 200,000-300,000 views in a year based on, people searching up portrait photography and people that are just getting into it.
So the comments, anybody that watched
educational content, make it.
Yeah, they're like, make more videos like this. And I'm like, the people don't watch these videos. Now, it may take years for them to watch them. And when I start releasing more educational content to sell, like the next video product, the video guide on shooting photos and all my style, that we will make educational videos that might not do well today, but might do well in the future. And we'll have plugs in there to promote our products. So I'm not getting upset about this one because I think it's going to do well. But the big dilemma with making YouTube content is educational versus gear. Mm-hmm. Because gear gets a lot of views quickly.
Gear drives the bus for sure.
Really? It drives the bus?
Yeah.
What kind of bus? Is that the Fro bus?
The Fro bus, exactly.
Or is that the Jew bus?
What?
What'd you say, Steven?
I did not say that. I'll tell you that.
Did you just say the Jew bus, Steven?
Nope.
Nancy, HR.
But I think the good thing about this video...
Oh, Steven just moves on.
The good thing is the fact that it only took us like 2 hours to turn it around. We decided right then and there that day, hey, let's just hold off on that 30-minute long-form video. Let's redo it real quick, make it 5 minutes or less, and I can edit and shit it out in, like an hour. And that's exactly what happened. So even if it flopped, it wasn't that big of a deal because we really didn't spend much time on it. But it's still disheartening, obviously, of course. But it's not like we spent weeks or a month on this project and it got 20,000 views. So,
well, another video that we spent weeks editing was the typewriter video, which I went back and watched again because I really like the typewriter video about what we did at Philly Typewriter, though we know that there's better, some more footage that you shot, B-roll, that didn't make it into the cut.
I shot like 2 days worth of B-roll, and Dan probably used like 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, whatever. It's still a great video. It's still a really good story,
better, though, in my opinion.
Right, but the reason I bring that video up is we spent a shit ton of time creating an episode that is really good.
We spent about a week there, or I spent about a week there because I had to go back and do B-roll and all that.
Multiple days shooting there, and then Dan took took the time that he needed to edit it.
I think it was about 3 to 4 weeks that it took to edit that. Yeah.
And then the video did not do well early. It has 170,000 views now.
But if you remember, you used that as the, you changed it to the trailer for the channel.
But anybody that watched that video was like, this is awesome. Thank you for making this. This is informative. This was awesome.
For sure.
And if we were guaranteed that every subscriber would watch a video, it would just be so much better, right? It would just be so much better mentally.
I almost feel like subscribers don't even matter anymore. I mean, I feel like people aren't even checking their subscription feed half the time. They're going more off like the TikTok style algorithm.
What gets served them.
And seeing what YouTube serves them on the homepage. Yeah. And it's very hard to end up on that homepage unless you have some sensational title and clickbait style thumbnail. It sucks. It's unfortunate.
I mean, our subscriber growth has really continued to go down in terms of subscriber growth, but views have been consistent. So we think that YouTube has totally downplayed subscribers now. We've definitely seen that. Whatever. Because
subscribers still, they hold a lot of clout, at least. At the end of the day, if you're looking for an advertiser to advertise with us for, say, the Photo News Fix or something like that, or Squarespace, it is nice to have that 1.42 million subscriber and that awesome gold plaque that you wear around your neck all the time.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's still worthy to have a lot of subscribers, but it doesn't really matter. It's vanity. Exactly. It's exactly what it is.
It helps. I mean, it gets you in the door when you say 1.4 million, but then you're like, I also have 250 or 60 million views over those years. And so watch time is the best metric that I show people. I'm like, look, even if 20,000 people watch this video, they watched it on average. Like it says that 80% of the people were still watching after 30 seconds. And when you get to the end, we're looking at 60 plus % view rate, meaning people on average watched almost all the way through the video. 60 plus % is a high watched rate.
And I still have to remind myself that 20,000 people, even though it doesn't seem like a high number to us, that's still an arena full of people. You know what I mean? That's still a lot of people watching a quick 5-minute video. So yeah.
But I really do think that the Paris headshot video or the portrait video is going to continue to,
I hope,
to grow. I just, you get disappointed with the comments. Some of the commenters like, oh, you're nothing special. You took a picture that plenty of people have taken and you think it's special. One, I never studied up on Paris Eiffel Tower photos. So when I see a photo, it's usually the first time I'm encountering something like that. And who gives a shit that I took a photo that might be similar to someone else who took a photo? And I guarantee you most people didn't take a photo like I took. Why, Steven? Do you know why?
Because you're the best of the best.
Well, that too, but I used an R8 and a 28 to 70 f2. Yeah. I guarantee you very few people are walking around, zero, with an R8 in the history of the Eiffel Tower have shot it with an R8 and a 28 to 70 f2 at f2.
With a lens that costs double the price of the body.
Yes, that is correct, Stephen.
Because that's so realistic.
But then the 100 to 300 2.8 is a $9,500 lens on a 6,500. Oh, fuck. It's not 2 times.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's not double the price.
It's close. If it had a built-in TC, it'd probably be that price.
Yeah, it would have been about $12,500 if it had a built-in TC.
Exactly. But again, like that video checked all the boxes for us. Short form. It was a nice clicky title, a thumbnail that would blurt out the subject, and it had a mistake stamp. I mean, it's just... I'm very surprised that it didn't do well.
And it's informative at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's educational content that people always ask us for.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there when we start selling the educational content again. And that's just going to be the best way, because we do have plenty of educational stuff. We don't do as much as we used to. It's been like 3+ years since we really focused on quick tips and educational stuff, because it just becomes demoralizing when that happens. But on the flip side, if you stop doing that stuff, you don't get that evergreen long burn content that people start discovering you. But on the flip side, more flip sides, we've got the user guides we focus on. They bring in the most subscribers, and so do comparisons.
And I consider the user guides educational. You know, at the end of the day, you're breaking down the menu and explaining what each feature and function does. Yeah.
Super educational. Regardless, we'll look back in a while. Stephen made a note, and we'll go back to that video and see that it probably has done well. Hopefully.
And almost every time I make a note to literally look back in a year, it usually has, at least 100,000 views for a video like that.
So do you know what I signed up for the other day?
Hot yoga.
No, but I've been doing hot yoga. I did hot yoga the other day, and I didn't like the teacher that much because he seemed too forceful. When I think of yoga, I think of calm, collected.
Wusa.
What is wusa?
You don't remember wusa from Bad Boys 2? I just looked it up. That's what it was. The wusa.
Well, what does that have to do with yoga?
It's calm and collective.
No one says wusa at yoga.
Really?
They say this.
I'm not being literal where people are doing that at yoga. I'm just saying that's a calming thing.
Oh, well, but
wusa.
I'm talking about yoga, Stephen. That's not yoga.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I didn't like this guy because he moved too fast through the flows, and it just seemed abrasive. I actually like the calm talking guy, coach, without the music playing. I like it without the music, because when there is music, I want to dance or something. Or
well, what kind of music though?
Well, sometimes it's the explosions in the sky.
I was just going to say, explosions in the sky would be perfect.
That would be,
yeah.
But it's also better, I think, mentally, to have no music so that you have to focus on your breathing,
your inner thoughts,
positions, and yeah. So it's funny. You would hate it because it's hot yoga. But the first couple of classes, for the first couple of weeks, there's a wall, and I would hide behind the wall. It's not a wall, it's a post, right in the middle of the room, and I would stay to the left of it. Then I tried a new space the other day near the window, and I looked up and I realized, oh shit, there's a heater. One of the heat panels is right above, and it's infrared heat. It's right above here, and I looked over at the wall area. I was like, oh shit, there was no panel over there. No wonder why I didn't feel like it was as hot as I thought it was. So now I'm under the panel, and I'm like, oh my God, I am totally drenched and soaked.
You just got to wear a Thompson tee, man, and you're set.
That would be horrible. My entire shirt, your entire shirt would need to, you might as well just wear a towel.
No, my entire shirt would be soaked except around my armpits.
Oh no, Stephen. My entire shirt is liquid by the time I'm done with this.
Of course I would be drenched, yeah.
But no, you know what? You don't know what I signed up for?
Don't know, don't care.
You don't care?
No, what'd you sign up for?
The bike-a-thon from Philly to AC.
Oh, that's cool.
It's 100.5 mile ride.
Is it like the expressway? Where are you riding at?
The last 5 miles are on the expressway.
Okay.
They closed down lanes.
Yeah, that's what I figured, yeah.
There's still traffic, but the last 5 miles coming into AC are on the expressway.
That's cool.
It starts going over the Ben Franklin Bridge, which is closed.
Oh, wow.
For the bike-a-thon.
That's very cool.
I think we have to start at 6 in the morning or something, so this is going to be interesting.
How long would it actually take you to ride 100 miles? I don't know.
Well, think of miles an hour, right? If you're going 20 miles an hour, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 is 5 hours if you're doing 20 consistent miles an hour.
Okay.
So it's going to take more than that.
Is that what you're
especially in
usually
the
going
group.
to? I always thought you guys went faster than 20 miles an hour.
It depends on what you're riding on.
Gotcha.
If you're on flat ground and you get in a train, meaning multiple bike riders together, you can be at 24-ish, 25 miles an hour, consistent pedaling, and you might not even feel like you're pedaling that hard unless you're the first person in the if you're the banger.
Because there's
you're
no
the person in the
resistance,
front.
no wind.
Right. There's less wind resistance as you're drafting people. So you can go at that faster pace. But if I'm by myself or with one other person on flat, we're at 20, 21, 22, maybe for a little bit. If you're going up hills, you could be as low as 7, 8 miles an hour.
Sure.
Now, there's really no hills. This is mostly a flat ride with no more than like a 4% grade. So it's going to be banging out flat the whole time.
That's what I figured. There's not many hills going to AC.
But it is very difficult but you have to go over some overpasses. So you do climb a little on those.
And on the bridge,
way.
you're starting out climbing, but then you're also, ending going down. So
right, but that's only the first mile and a half of 100.5.
That's cool.
So we'll see if I can accomplish it. Richie's going to be doing it, and there's going to be a team. And so Richie rides that like
every day.
Every day, basically.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't. He does about 40 plus miles a day at times. So he averages he's doing like 5,000 plus miles a year right now.
Good for him.
That's his thing. A friend who's doing the rides sent a training schedule over, and I just said no. Like, he sent over a training schedule for people to follow to get ready for this ride, and it's like Tuesday, go out for a 90-minute ride. Wednesday, bang out 70 minutes on the trainer. Thursday, go for an easy, 40-minute ride. And it's like, if I didn't live in the city, if I lived where Richie lived, I could get right on a path within a mile and ride. But I can't get on a path anywhere here unless I go drive somewhere or I ride for like 10 miles.
Or move to Jersey.
Do you have a path near you, Steven?
We do, actually. My town.
How long is the path?
I don't know offhand. But all the surrounding towns have one giant bike path that goes throughout each town.
How big is it? You don't know?
It's definitely big. Yeah. I mean, it's 6, 7, 8 towns.
All right. Well, if there's lots of miles, that's good. But
and it's nice. It's off the shoulder, and it's painted green and everything. They just made it, I think, like 3 years ago or something like that.
Well, because you asked about miles per hour. My average ride, like if I'm doing 20 miles, it average like 15 miles an hour.
Okay.
On 20 through the city. Now that accounts for stopping at some red lights, maybe having to stop at stop signs, which you should do as a bike rider, maybe going slower in certain situations, but 100 flat miles might be is going to be difficult. So the longest ride I've ever done is 64 miles, and that had 4,000 or 5,000 miles, 5,000 feet of climbing. So that ride was 64 miles with 5,000 feet of climbing, which means you also had 5,000 feet of coming down hills. So it was hard going up, but obviously easier coming down. But shit, that's 64 miles took me like 5 hours to pedal.
Wow.
It's a long time. So we'll see if I'm able to do that, Steven.
Yeah, I mean, it's for a good cause too, right? Can people donate to do you have a page or something like that?
There is a page on Instagram. I use the one on Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, it's pinned at the top.
Okay.
There's a donation to the American Cancer Society. I'm riding. People are like, are you riding for your mom? I'm like, well, I guess.
Sure.
I'm also riding to see if I can do 100.5 miles. It's more selfish than anything. I'm always...
No.
No. Yeah. Well, most people won't say it. I'm just going to fucking say it. Yeah, I want to raise money for cancer. That's sure. But you don't have to donate to me. If you can't donate, don't donate. Just say good luck. That's good enough for me. And the people that did donate, thank you very much. I donated $100. It's not reflected in the donation there because I donated on a different page. And the way that you connect Instagram, you can't connect your page. It was just weird. But I did it. It's like $700 so far. I put a goal of $2,500. So if you do have the ability to do it, I believe you should get a tax write-off because
that's
it is
why
a
you're
donation.
doing it.
No, it's not about riding for my mom, but sure, subconsciously that's there.
Of course.
But it's really more about, shit, it's 100.5 miles. Can I do it?
Yeah.
And we'll see if I can do it.
Well, best of both worlds. You ride for her, and then you also can see if you can do it.
Yep, I just have to make sure my bike is in order and everything is good. And the biggest issue and the biggest hurdle is going to be food, right? You have to make sure that you're
fueled up.
You are fueled for the ride. And I think every 20 minutes, these guys like to get another 100 calories or whatever. So it's just like you have your power blocks, your power gel, you have your gels.
You're stopping
stingers.
and eating, correct? Or are they just like throwing bars in their mouth and still riding?
Most of the time, they're just hitting that stuff up while they're riding. I'm not very good at going fast and eating a thing.
I was gonna say I can't see you.
It's
doing
hard
that.
for me doing that.
Yeah.
It's hard. Well, it's hard because
it's hard in general. I'm sure.
One, I don't want to fall off the damn bike and not. But I got to have my hands on the handlebars. Most of these guys can ride without hands because they're just better.
You can't ride without hands.
I don't want to.
Have you ever tried?
Safe.
Of course,
well, as a kid, I used to do it. As a kid, I would do it, but as an adult, I'm not doing it.
What about just one hand? If you're just trying to eat a bar at the same time, and
yeah, I can do that one hand. You still want to be careful,
of course.
But there will be rest stops. There will be people along the way. I just hope I don't cramp up. I need to make sure I get enough salt. I need to make sure I get enough.
So, do you think you need to practice before you do this? Build yourself up, or you think you're just gonna one and done do it?
I didn't practice before the 64 miles, Steven.
And you were fine?
Ever doing hills. And
this is close to double, though, but...
It's not close to double. Well, it is close to double.
Yes.
Well, it's not. It's 64. That's only another 35
close.
miles.
I said close.
I know. It's another, lots of percentage.
Don't have to be so literal here.
I am very literal.
I know you are.
It's a lot of riding, but hopefully I keep up with everybody fine. Hopefully I'm able to fuel myself properly and feel good and continue on with the race. It's not a race. It's a ride, and I just want to finish it. So I think I have to ask my friend if she can drop me off at the start, and then if she can pick me up down in AC, because you need a way to get
back. Yeah, I was gonna say, how does that work?
Ride back. Yeah, you have to really have someone meet you there to come back. So I'll ask her if she can ride down, because I went to Paris with her for her marathon. So maybe this is the least she could do. Is drive me home.
And for those wondering, AC is like a 45-minute drive, maybe. Yeah,
it's an hour drive.
Yeah, 45 for me because I'm flying.
Well, you're also closer because you already live in. No, I'm saying
if I came from Philly, I could definitely make it in 45 minutes.
Oh, because you like to fly faster on the roads.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is episode 48. Anything else you want to add, Steven?
No, that's it. Just as usual, if you guys can rate us on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars would be great. Written review would be great. Or rate us on Spotify or any other podcast platform.
Noise. Okay, I'm going to go to the Phillies game. I'm going to get some more stuff for you for the 100 to 300 and sit and watch it with my brother.
And you're going to record the EVF this time, right?
I'm going to record the EVF, some of it. And
I think it's so beneficial for the audience to see that, to see just how the focusing point's working, when you're at 100, when you're at 300 millimeters, because the nice thing about the Canon is it'll actually tell you on the screen what millimeter focal length you're at.
Oh, I found all those cables that I was looking for.
Were they in your bag?
Well, they were in my bag because we used it with my other recorder recently. Yeah. So that's where I put them all.
Cool.
But anyway, I wish Canon would do that, because if they allowed me to record with the little box that we use with all the Nikons.
You'd record everything.
I was recording every shoot I was doing before. Yep. So anyway, I'm going to sign off, Steven. Thank you very much for listening, because you listened a lot today.
You're welcome.
Well, every day. Guys, thank you very much. Jared, PolinFrontosPhoto.com. See ya.